Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It's starting to cloud up around here, and I hear some thunder off in the distance. Probably some rain moving into the area, maybe some thunder showers here later. But hey, it's been like that off and on for several days now. I want to talk about something similar to what we've been discussing, but different. Not so much specifically what's going on in the news, what's happening with wars and tariffs and all that kind of stuff. Something a little different. This is more of a philosophical discussion, but I think it's important. I think it's important because I hope that a lot of you already know this. So I hope that in a lot of ways I'm preaching to the choir. But for those of you that don't, I don't expect you to immediately just become enlightened because of what I'm saying, but that it'll at least make you start questioning things, make you do a little research. Remember the first time that you kind of opened your eyes to what's really going on in the world, right? Remember that? Well, that's kind of what I hope that something like this discussion will bring. Saw on the news today that they're saying for the first time ever, global debt has crossed the $300 trillion mark. $300 trillion in global debt. And I'm sure it's, who knows if that's a real number or not. But let's just, for the sake of the argument, use official numbers. About 36 trillion of that debt is the United States' debt. So it makes it probably about 12% of global debt. And if you throw in unfunded debt like Social Security and stuff, you're getting pretty close to a third of global debt is just the United States. There's a lot of countries that have a lot less debt. Russia doesn't carry a lot of debt. Several countries don't, but a lot do. And so there's a lot of debt. And when you look at all the stuff that's going on in the world today, a lot of it falls back to money. Money. And I have said before that these top elites, the ones that are really running the things, they're not doing it for the money because they have all the money, right? They're doing it for the power, but they're using money to get their power. I mean, this $300 trillion debt, global debt number, who in the world are we all in debt to? I mean, if the whole world is in debt, then who's the whole world in debt to? I mean, it should be a valid question, right? I mean, is it to the banks? I mean, someone owns and controls the banks. Is it to these unnamed elites out there? Is it to groups of people that we're just not allowed to talk about? You know, we can't say who they are because then we'll get shunned and censored and all that kind of stuff. Who is it that we're in debt to? And why? Well, why is there so much problems in the world? You know, if nations can just print their own money when they need it, which is exactly what the United States does. I mean, just recently, the Trump administration and Congress all approved a new spending budget, which increases the debt ceiling by like $5 trillion. The last time Trump was in office, we went into crazy amounts of debt. And we're on track to probably do the same thing this time, even though there's been talks about, you know, reduced spending and reduced debt. It usually is just it's something to talk about to get you elected. But when push comes to shove, it rarely ever happens. I mean, right now the conversation is, well, we can take these tariffs and replace taxes, right? We could replace the income tax. I mean, originally they were going to just do away with the income tax, and now there's talking about reducing the income tax. Well, the reality is if we put a tariff on everything that comes into this country, every import, that tariff would have to be somewhere at a minimum of 68% and probably into the mid to high 80s or more just to replace the income tax. So, I mean, and you're still paying that price too. You'd be paying 60, 80, 90% more for pretty much everything that's imported into this country. And a lot of things you just can't buy American made. So you're going to be paying more one way or the other. I mean, the tariff is definitely more constitutional, but in the end, it's still coming out of our pocket, right? I understand you can choose it, you know, control what you pay a little bit more that way, but in the end, you're still paying it. But, you know, there's not really any talk about reducing the spending, to reduce the debt, to reduce the burden on people. because it's all a scheme, it's all a scam, it's all a ploy to keep us burdened with debt. That's why the Bible talks so harshly against debt and how bad it is, because debt is slavery. It's what it is. It's slavery, and we have the whole world enslaved to someone because the whole world's in debt. And I don't know about that 300 trillion. Is that governmental debt? Does that include commercial debt? Here in the United States, commercial debt is in the trillions also. So not only is the government in debt 36 trillion, but individuals, people are in debt for trillions. Businesses as a whole are in debt for trillions. I mean, even the Federal Reserve is, showing negative numbers that they're, in debt to themselves. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's crazy to think. By now, you're probably wondering, what's he getting at? Okay, so we're in debt to everybody, and everybody is some unnamed people, or people that we can't talk about, or people we don't know their names, or whatever. What's the point to this, right? Why are you even making this video? I think I'm making this video to try to, at least hopefully, some of you will open your eyes a little bit to see that all of this that we live in, whether it's the government, whether it's money, doesn't matter if it's Republicans or Democrats or Trump or Biden or Kamala or anyone else. It's all a big game. It's all a big game, and they use money and they use debt and they use currency as part of their game. As example, today, the president stated that they would consider putting sanctions on all the BRICS nations. So all the nations that came together and said, we're going to form a pact because we're sick and tired of the U.S. dollar being weaponized against us. So we're going to form this group to try to figure out a way to work around that. And in turn, they're using the dollar, weaponizing the dollar even more so against them. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? A little bit ironic. Maybe a little too ironic. I think when we start to really understand all of this and really open our eyes and see that we live in a scam. I've said over the years, and I've had people laugh at me and joke, thinking I'm kind of joking, and I'm quite serious. I think probably one of the most realistic movies that Hollywood ever put out was The Matrix. And I'm not one of those strange style movie nerds or anything. Just the premise of the movie, I think, is probably the most truthful thing that they've ever put out. That we do live in this matrix. No, we're not plugged into some computer and all that kind of stuff. But we are made to believe that the system that exists around us, and when I say system, I mean all of it. Money, commerce, government, everything. Everything is real and it's legit, and that you have to work really hard to earn a few little nickels so that you can go in debt to the banks, who's in debt to this, who's in debt to that. And it goes up to the tier, and the top tier, whoever those people are up there, whether we know or don't know their names, or maybe we're just not allowed to say who they are. We're all owned by them. It's like this indentured servitude, right? Because if you don't, then you're some kind of homeless bum or whatever, and society looks down upon you. So you have to work really hard and go in debt the whole life, and you turn your back on things and all this kind of stuff. And some people get a little bit more of a leg up than others and all this. And I know I'm rambling, but just give me a little leeway here so that we can be players in this system. And I truly believe that when we become awake enough, when our eyes are open enough to realize that this is all a scam, that's all it is, that I think it changes us. I think it makes us a better person. I think it helps us get prepared. And I'm not talking just in a prepper sense, but really in a mentally and especially a spiritual sense. God the Father, he created kind of a system for his people, a system of government, a system for them to work together. And they didn't like that. They wanted to be like everyone else. They wanted to have their own king. They wanted to have their own money and all this kind of stuff. And he warned, saying that this will be your downfall. I mean, if this is what you want, I'm going to give it to you. But it will destroy you. And in fact, it did. He was right, like he always is, right? And we're still living under that really today. We're still doing that today. And we're still believing that the next guy that talks better than the other one, or that says the things that we want to hear, is going to actually fix it. You know, he's going to make it better. Everything's going to be better. We just got to trust that it's going to work. And as much as you think I'm beating up Trump and anyone that supports him, it's the same thing with the Biden and the Kamala people and all that. And you can go back to president after president. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's all a game. And yeah, we got to play it, right? I mean, we're kind of forced to. You know, if you want to have a car to drive in, you want to wear some clothes that, you know, aren't what you just sewed leaves together. I mean, I've used this as an argument before. And I'm asking you this, so leave your comments. I challenge you to name me one thing, tangible thing, something in your life, something that you interact with, anything that is not in some possible way touched, taxed, regulated, controlled, anything by government. And I've yet to come up with a clear answer. I mean, even the air that we breathe is, you know, government's polluting it. Their air quality control, people pay taxes so that the air can be either filtered or polluted or tested or whatever. The soil, you can't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere and find just land that isn't either taxed or owned by government. Everything's regulated. Everything's controlled. You say, oh, the food I grow in my garden, really, it's the soil that you're growing it in is taxed. And the seeds that were produced or something that you used with it is somehow taxed or regulated or controlled. Everything. And we've allowed ourselves to get this way over centuries. And a lot of people believe that 250 years ago, we fought this war to break our bonds from that. And that's all just a big scam too. You know, we were just another test subject colony of Rome. Not even Great Britain, of Rome. Yeah, you heard me right. And can we fix all this? Can we change it? No, we can't. We can't. I'm not, you know, we can rebel against it. And you might get lucky for a while, but you'll end up in prison. And even if you rebel against it, you're still paying into the system, you know, sales taxes and all kinds of other stuff. And, you know, to rebel against it, you become a criminal. And so we're kind of stuck where we're at, and we probably can't change it. But we can do as much as we can to live outside of it. That's where I talk about cultural secession. You can't completely break away, but you can do some things. But I think the biggest thing is the mentally. We have to realize the control and the scam that's about us, all of this. And when we do that, I think it helps us fall back stronger and closer to the Father, to the Creator, to the Almighty. Because the more we believe that government or politicians or political parties or this bill or this change in government or this war or this nation against this nation is going to fix or better things, the less we have faith in God the Father and His Son, the Holy Spirit. Once we see all of this for what it is, yeah, we have to live in it. And this world is not my home anyways. I'm just passing through. I mean, this body it's just a shell. It's not the real me. So it's okay. I'm just passing through, and I'll play their game when I have to and avoid it when I can. But when we understand that it's all a big scam, all of it, everything, it's all a big scam, I think it helps separate us even further, much like the scripture tells us, to be set apart and to realize that all this stuff this faith in government and politicians and parties and systems, and we're going to beat this country and become better, and all this kind of stuff. It's like sports, and I'm not knocking you if you're big into sports, but in the end it's just a game, right? It's just people playing, and you can be for this one or against this one, but in the end it's just a game. Some people get really obsessed over it, kind of like probably unhealthily, but it's just a game, and that's what all this is that we're living in. And when we come to realize that the debt and the dollar and the things and the politicians and even the pharmaceuticals and the food, and it's all fake. It's all meant to control us. And this goes back centuries. This has been planned, and it's just built upon plan. They're all related. They're all of it. It's a bigger plan, and I could go into this, but my gosh, that would take hours and hours. Most of you, I think, hopefully some of you already know this. But when we realize that it's all a big scam, and that we just have to deal with it, we have to endure it while we can, and we try to shine, Yeshua's light in this world, and allow the Holy Spirit to work through us so that maybe we can lead and guide some more people to him, right? But in the end, it's all just a big game. Then we start to realize that our allegiances aren't to country and nation and politicians and parties and all that. We can be more proud of where we live than the other places in the world, but our allegiances aren't to that. Our allegiances are to God, right? That he's our Father, he's our Creator, he's the one that we should try to bond ourselves with. And when we realize that all this other stuff is truly just man's attempt to be creative, man's attempt to control, man's attempt to be God-like and to impress each other. If we realize that and we break away from it as much as possible, and if nothing else, mentally break away from it, then I think it can bring us closer to God, because we're putting less trust, less hope, less faith in this scam of a system, this scam of things going on. For those of you that don't realize this, I don't expect you to watch this video and just like, this is a big revelation. My eyes are open. But I do hope that you'll listen to what I say, and maybe something will sink in. Maybe you won't think that all of it's insane. Maybe some of it will sink in. And maybe it'll help kind of put a little crack in the system, in you, that you kind of open up and kind of think about this and realize that no one of these people or things around us, they're not coming to save us. Trump's not going to save us. The system, the dollar's not going to save us. We're not going to be saved by the United States versus all the liberalism. Conservatism isn't going to save us. None of it is. We have to realize that. We realize who we, our real loyalties lie. And it's not all this matrix, this fake scam that's been built up around us, that it's all been done and controlled for a long, long, long time by top level elites that's been around for centuries, small groups of people that kind of run everything, that, everyone's in debt to. And it's being done, I believe, to further separate us from God. I think that's why he didn't want us to have a man-made government and system. He wanted it to be God-centered, and man walked away from that. His people walked away from that. And so I'd encourage you to do your best to at least entertain these things that I'm saying, and maybe do a little research and pray about it and see what happens. Because I think if we can do that, it makes seeing all this and dealing with this easier, and it makes having more faith where we should have it a lot easier also. And that's really the most important thing, because we're just passing through this world. We're here for a time so that we can move on. And we have a job to do while we're here, but I don't think we need to be caught up in this world. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order. and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.